President Trump is cutting off food stamps to 22 million people in 23 states. I reported on this yesterday. I have an update. Why is the president cutting off critical food need that is happening this December to so many people, including seniors, children, and veterans? Well, it has to do with a standoff that the president currently has with 23 governors, specifically governors that are Democratic, and they are pushing back on a request that the White House has made about details of people that are on food stamps that the governors think is illegal. And so the governors went to court, and the judge agreed with them that the request from the USDA for sensitive SNAP information is probably illegal. I'm going to share with you who is affected, the latest update on this standoff, and what you should know about SNAP benefits for the month of December. Plus, stay till the end of this video. I have an update on the $2,000 stimulus check that the president has promised to send to millions, including seniors on Social Security and disability. I have a timeline update. My name is Kwame Kwade. I am a government benefits expert. For 15 years, I've been helping seniors get the retirement benefits they deserve. I create content on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and other personal finance topics that affect seniors and their benefits and retirement. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I am glad you're here. Do me a quick favor, go into the comment section and let me know your city and your state, because I like to know where you guys are watching my channel from. If you've been watching this channel for a while now, welcome back. I am glad you're here. Thank you for your continued support. So we have a lot to cover. Let's start with the breaking news. I have an update from yesterday's post. So here's what's happening. Back a few months ago, the USDA sent a request to all 50 states asking for sensitive information about SNAP recipients in each of those states. They said they wanted to use the information to, root out fraud, abuse, and waste. Now, here's the thing. I am all for cutting fraud, waste, and abuse in government programs, and everybody should be for that. But here's the big problem. Food stamps, even though you see the news and all the sensationalized things that come in the news, the Inspector General over the last 20 years have been auditing the food stamps program, and the Inspector General is a person in each agency that is responsible for auditing and finding waste, fraud, and abuse. They've been reporting over the last 20 years between Democratic and Republican presidents that the food stamp program is one of the most efficiently run and fraud is less than 1%. And so, to request such a large amount of information, the governors think that the request is being used or will be used for something else other than what the government is asking for. That is what the governors suspect, and so they went to court, and the judge agreed with them. Well, the president has escalated this standoff and now has threatened to cut off food stamp benefits for 22 million people in 23 states this month, this critical holiday month of December. So who is going to be affected? Well, think about all the states that are run by Democratic governors. We are talking about California, Colorado, Illinois, Kentucky, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Washington, Oregon, Hawaii, and many more. All these states are going to lose their food stamp benefits for the month of December because of this standoff. How much money are we talking about? We're talking about $4.1 billion. The average person gets $188 a month in food stamps. You multiply that by 22 million people, and that is the number you arrive at. And if this continues, if this standoff continues, it's going to cause a lot of people a lot of stress. Now, remember, we just went through this during the government shutdown where the Trump administration refused to release an emergency fund that was designed to pay SNAP benefits during emergencies. And they had to be taken to court, and 2 judges ruled that they have to release the money. And even then, they did not release the money. They dragged their feet. to the last minute when the shutdown was over before they started releasing the money. But here is what I think is happening. The Trump administration is determined to cut a lot of people off food stamps. Currently, there are 41 million people on food stamps. Majority of them, 16 million, are children. 8 million are seniors. 8.5 actually. 1.5 million are veterans. About 1 million are students. So, vulnerable groups that need this critical aid are being punished because the government suspects fraud, waste, and abuse and is using that as pretext in order to cut people off food stamps. So I'm going to record a new video talking about how you can prepare for what is about to happen, because there are 3 different groups that are going to be impacted. This is just phase 1. This standoff is just pretty much the beginning of a continuous, sustained effort to cut a lot of people off food stamps. And so I am going to tell you what you need to do in order to prepare for what's about to happen. Now, if you want to stay on top of all of this, news and updates, anything in and out of Congress that could affect your benefits, your retirement, your finances, then join my text list. Join thousands of seniors and others that are already receiving 1 or 2 text messages each week from me, free of charge. Text the word insider to 443-293-0080. Again, text the word insider to 443-293-0080, and you'll be added to the list. Now, let me give you a window into what's about to happen. Even beyond this standoff, even if the president backs down and releases the food stamps benefits to these 22 million people in the month of December, there is more to come. So let me give you a preview of that before I go and address the stimulus question. So remember, this summer, they passed the Big Beautiful Bill. Well, that bill was largely financed on the backs of food stamps and Medicaid. They did drastic cuts to Medicaid and food stamps. The most these programs have been cut in recorded history. And so now the USDA is implementing those cuts. So what does that mean? Well, 4 different categories of people are going to be severely impacted. The first are seniors. If you're a senior or know somebody that's on social food stamps benefit, regardless of whether you're on Social Security or disability benefits, if you're a senior citizen collecting food stamps, here is the big change that's going to happen for you. Number 1, you would now have to work at least 20 hours a week, or volunteer for 20 hours a week, or be in an approved job training program for 20 hours a week in order to continue to receive food stamp benefits for more than 3 months in any given 3 years. So previously, you only had to do that if you were age 54 or younger. Now they've moved that from 54 to 64. They've added 10 more years, forcing a lot of seniors, including those on Social Security and disability that are retired, to have to go back to work, volunteer for 20 hours a week, or be in an approved job training program that is approved by their state in order to continue to receive their food stamp benefits for more than 3 months in any given 3 years. That is going to be devastating for millions of seniors who cannot work, and especially those on disability for many reasons. The second group of people that are affected by this is veterans. It used to be that veterans had exemptions to food stamps work requirements. Well, that is no longer happening. You have to go to work, volunteer, or be in an approved program, or your benefits will be taken away. So the 1.5 million veterans that are on food stamps, that is going to be problematic. The third group are those who are homeless. Previously, if you were homeless, understandably, you were not required to work to get food stamps, because if you're homeless, probably the first thing on your mind is food, how to survive, before you're even thinking about all these other things you have to, housing, to stabilize yourself before you go to think about employment. But now, if you're homeless, it doesn't matter. You are expected to work in order to get food stamps. And then finally, parents with children. If you are a parent and previously you were exempted from work requirements for food stamps because you're a caregiver for multiple children and it didn't make sense to have to work or to be able to work a certain number of hours. Because remember, majority of adults that are on food stamps are actually working. They just don't make enough money or they don't get enough hours depending on where you live. And so if your child is less than or older than 14 years, you would have to go to work in order to continue to get food stamps. So these drastic changes are happening now, regardless of what's happening with the standoff between the governors and the president and the administration. So that is the update I wanted to give you on food stamps. Now let's go to the stimulus. Now, before I do that, I want to remind you guys that we are a few days away from the Medicare open enrollment being over. And if you're a senior citizen on Medicare, this is critical information you need to know. If you just automatically renewed your Medicare benefit, whether you're on original benefit, original Medicare, or Medicare Advantage, and you just renewed it because you thought everything is okay, wrong. There's been so many changes to original Medicare. Two big changes. Number one, if you're on original Medicare and you have a Medigap plan, your Medigap plan probably has changed and cost has probably gone up. Medigap plan F are being phased out, and plan G is now the most popular Medigap plan. So make sure that you have an expert review your plan before you renew it. If you're on Advantage, Medicare Advantage, there are even more changes. A lot of hospitals are dropping plans. A lot of plans are leaving states altogether. United Healthcare just left 600,000 people stranded because they left specific states and are not offering their plans in those states. In addition, there's many price increases that you need to be aware of, not just your premium, but out-of-pocket costs, deductibles, and so forth. So make sure that you have our partner, Chapter Medicare, review your plan in the next few days before the Medicare open enrollment ends. And so I'm going to put the number in the description and in the comments. Call Chapter today and let them review your plan free of charge, unbiased opinion. They may even tell you that you are in the best plan. And that's what you want to hear, because if you're already in the best plan, then you know that an expert has reviewed your plan and given you peace of mind that you have the plan that is going to meet your needs. So check the comment section to this video and check the description. I'm going to put their phone number in there and you give them a call. And then finally, let's talk about stimulus. So, you know, the president said he was going to send a stimulus before the end of the year. Well, we are in December and the date has changed. It is no longer going to happen before the end of the year, which I already told you guys in multiple videos that I don't believe that the stimulus is going to happen at the end of this year, because the calendar is already compressed. We just came out of the shutdown. Congress is not going to work through the entire month of December, especially when they do not consider stimulus a priority. So now the president has moved the date to next year, specifically the middle of the year next year. And I know why. I suspect why. It is because there is a Supreme Court case that is challenging the legality of the tariffs themselves. So basically, the Supreme Court heard arguments in that case recently, and a lot of the justices were not convinced that the tariffs are legal. So it makes sense that the president wants to wait till the Supreme Court decides, because if the Supreme Court strikes the tariff down, if they say that the tariffs are illegal, and one more thing, Costco just sued the Trump administration a few days ago, arguing the same thing, that they want all their tariff money refunded back because they don't think the president has the authority that he's claiming to impose the tariffs that have been imposed. And so, if the Supreme Court strikes this down, or if the Costco case goes through and it works its way all the way up the flagpole, it will get to the Supreme Court anyway. And if they strike this down, then the tariff money will have to be refunded, which means that the money that the president wants to rely on to give you the stimulus check to seniors, to those on Social Security and disability, there's not going to be money to do it. And so, do I think the stimulus is going to happen? Do I think the president is serious about it? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? Maybe, because it depends on that Supreme Court case. So it makes sense that the president has shifted the date to the summer of next year, because I'm sure he wants to wait and see if the Supreme Court is going to agree with him or strike down the tariffs altogether. So guys, that's all I have to update you today. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you like what you heard, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification button so that when I release new videos, you'll be the first to know. But remember, if you're on Medicare, go to the description or to the comments and call Chapter today. You owe it to yourself to let them review your plan before this window for open enrollment closes. I'll see you tomorrow.